Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Centric. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are crime dramas. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Mayor of Kingstown, Season 3, Episode 8. Great episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, that opening was insane, and Carney put it best himself. This is insane. That's wild. Throwing grenades over the prison walls. I wasn't sure what was up because the moment, what's home dude's name? Cole, who works with money, the military dude. I mean, I assume he's military because he's the ones that got access to the military grade weaponry and stuff. But I was like, what's this going to be? And they got the gun pointed at Kevin. I was like, I figured that wasn't the case. I was like, are they going to shoot him to like make it seem like, oh, yo, this was something wild? Like, that's why I was like, oh, like he gets injured. But it was like, nah, like he saw the glint from the gun. So it's like, all right, bet it's time. And so someone on a bike just hand tossing grenades into there, hitting Carney and his guys. And then one of the guards that works for him, Thomas, gets got. They made sure to take a shot at Kevin to make it seem like, yo, that's what I was about to say. Like, there is security footage. It's like, they might think it's suspicious that you like, Kevin stops for a beat and stands and then takes off his hat. I'm like, the fact is, on review, it might not mean anything, but it could look a certain way. I'm like, probably should have kept that a little more casual than you did, because it would have seemed, it's interesting. Stuff pops off the moment you leave your position to go in. But like I said, if you're not paying too much attention, you're not going to really notice it. I don't know if Kareem's going to notice that. Because once again, he's unaware. Like, he knows, like, because Kevin said, like, yo, I've got family who's been on the inside, but he's never talked about his direct connection to Bunny, who's at war with Callahan and the Russians. So it's like, you know, but I don't know if that Kareem's going to necessarily piece that together. To be fair, Kareem's got his own thing going on right now, because we see him sitting down with his wife. We don't know where their status is, but seems like his daughter's going through some stuff, and basically it's like, yeah, she was already kind of emotional. He's like, yeah, but ever since the riot, it's like, yeah, she's read some stuff, and she heard some stuff, and he was like, me at home too, right? And she's like, yeah. So she's going to therapy, and I think that's always the thing of, you want to give to people, or push people to do something that you yourself never did. Because, like, Kareem's like, whatever it takes, I'm going to make this right. I promise to make things right. So she needs to go to counseling. We'll pay as much as we need to. It's like $300 a session, and they want her to do it twice a week or something like that. So he at first was like, twice a week? But then he was like, okay, as many times as it takes. You know, I want to make sure this is all right. He's trying to tell his wife, like, yo, I'm here right now. I'm ignoring my phone. I was like, it is one of the most biggest pop-off situations for you to not answer your phone. Understand you're trying to get your family situation in order, but it's kind of giving his daughter what he can't give himself. Because I don't remember. Kareem being who he is and his experience, I don't see him ever going to counseling. He might have. I just don't remember. But I just feel like character-wise, he wouldn't go. And that's why he's pushing more for his daughter. Because for one, it's also to show his wife, I am making attempts. But it's also, once again, I'm going to give my daughter what I can't give myself, because I've got my demons that I'm still struggling and working with, but it's still there. Hell, he's even trying to get Kevin to talk to somebody. He's like, yeah, you need to talk to somebody about what you experience when, like, you know, blown up body parts. These might not be your favorite people, but it's still like a disturbing thing to experience. But obviously Kevin took it in stride, because he knows what time it is. He knows what role he is to play here. But it's still like, yo, you saw body parts explode. You saw a fellow correctional officer get shot, even though it's like, well, he's not a good dude. You know, he's tied to the Aryans, and you play your role in kind of being complicit in his death. Like, that's got to weigh in, but he's like, nah, I got to keep it pushing, got to play my role. Even later on, Bunny's telling him to, like, yo, like, you need to kind of keep the confusion going, because if you don't, that they're going to start thinking, like I said, there's going to be stuff that lines up. They kind of looks like, oh, that's a little odd, that, you know, because Kareem's getting his statement. The police, KPD already got his statement, but it's like, oh, I'm going to talk to you. Kareem's like, I'm going to talk to you, get your statement, then I'm going to look at the security footage, and it's like, yeah, it's like, there will be some, not necessarily inconsistencies, but like I said, little things that Kareem might add up. So you have Bunny being like, you're in tight with the warden, aren't you? He's like, yeah, but you've got one of those, like, because he was telling Kevin, he's like, oh yeah, man, you got one of those faces that kind of like, I forgot the exact wording he used, but it was almost like you kind of have like that, almost like a face that disarms people, but it's like, you need to keep the warden not really on your, you know, keep your head on a swivel. You need to make sure that the warden doesn't figure you out. And also, like, the whole thing about Callahan, it's like, the job didn't go successfully because well, they were all supposed to die. Like, 2 of his dudes died, not Callahan. The big dude's still alive too, but man, we saw some blown up body parts, dude. It's like I said, that situation is gnarly. But the moment they showed up at the prison, I love Mike talking to Ian. Ian's like, yo, Mikey, I'm doing police work up here, bro. I was like, all right, fine, coming down. What happened here? It's like, yeah, it was military grade. And Mike's like, yeah, it had to be Bunny. At first he was like, there's no way this is Bunny, but they find out it was military grade. Oh no, it was definitely Bunny. It's like, how you know? I saw it myself. So it's like, okay. So, Ian, you and Stevie, I need you to get a warrant and hit Bunny's spot. I'm gonna give you the address. I was like, and then like, Callahan is pissed at Mike, and Mike's like, oh, I want to be the first face you saw, which I think there's a little bit of funny to that, but it's also like, you weren't, it was an immigrant. Mike's like, well, he's a cop, and he was born here. It's like, to a racist piece of crap like Callahan, that doesn't matter. I even love later on, Kimbo came in being like, yeah, I hope it hurts you, racist piece of shit. And it's like, yeah, because he overheard everything you said. I mean, he also knows who you are, so it wouldn't matter even if he didn't hear what you said. Like, he already knows what time it is. He knows you're head honcho of the Aryans right now, so it's like, we weren't going to get no sympathy. I should also note, just since I am on Callahan, it is so interesting to see him on his back foot, because we've seen him so calm and like controlling this, like, you know, he can get a little angry, but he always keeps this calm, quiet anger about himself, but he always moves like he's so in control. And now it's like we're seeing him kind of weaken from it. He's literally throwing up blood, spitting up blood in a bedpan, and it's like, yeah, you're in worse condition. Like, you are definitely on your last leg. Like, we don't know like the injuries he sustained and like what that's going to be in the long run, but man, his time is kind of running out. But I love how Mike switched this up, because he's like, you failed me, Mike. You were supposed to hit Bunny, but you didn't. I want you to kill him. I want you to wipe out his whole crew and then feed them to children. I love Mike's response of, well, that's a lot of people. He's like, fuck you. I love that, like that snarky response, like, oh, that's a lot of people, Callahan. But I love the switch up Mike pulls, being like, yeah, but this was military grade. Do you think the Crips would have military grade weapons? Nah, it's not. It was obviously it was the Russians. I was like, oh, good. Like, pit them against each other. It's like, well, what are we gonna do? And it's like, Mike's like, I'll handle Constantine. I will get rid of Constantine on your behalf, and then also I'll handle Bunny, which he's not going to handle Bunny, because once again, he always has a special affinity to Bunny. He even, talking to Ian last episode, made him go like, am I soft on Bunny? Like, it's like, yeah, to any criminal, like, there's a kinship there where it's like, you have a deeper connection with Bunny than you. Once again, there's an association. I would say it's like a brotherhood and a friendship. I would go as far as saying a brotherhood he has with Bunny, and he doesn't have that with any other, like, anyone else on the the criminal side of things. But I mean, everything kind of worked out to Mike's benefit a lot in this episode, and I think that's why, like, the last shot of the episode is him smiling, because Ian's like, what the hell are you smiling about? Because like, everything kind of went his way this episode. He's been kind of on the back pedal, trying to like swing things on the opposite side of the pendulum to kind of get some sway, some kind of control, and it kind of intentionally and unintentionally, like, a lot of stuff worked out for him, because first and foremost, like, we had the whole situation with Constantine offering Iris a way out. He's like, I want you to leave. He's like, I apologize. I was trying to protect you, but also I was trying to control you. He's like, and sometimes those lines blur so much that I actually don't know. He's like, I'm so sorry for being short with you last episode. He's like, I want to give you what Milo can never give you, and freedom. It's like, I want you out of here. I don't even want you back in New York. No old haunts. You get to start your life fresh, no strings attached. Iris doesn't buy that, though. She's like, in her mind, it's like, this isn't done until it's done. And it's like, until because she always says, like, there are always strings attached to Constantine. So I don't know, maybe he means it this time, maybe he doesn't. It's hard to say. As she says, like, the guy is spiraling, he's doing coke in the morning, taking heroin just to sleep. So it's like, guy's not in his right mind. Which is so interesting. Like I said, that was such a switch, because I can't remember if I don't remember if he was doing that before he met up with Iris again. I don't know if she just happens to be his kryptonite in that regard, because like, he seems so like calm, collected, but also like the worst type of the worst type of person you need is someone heavily medicating themselves like that, high all the time. It's like like he's already an unhinged dude, and now you made him extra unhinged, being like, well, mixing drugs into the equation. So he's offering Iris a way out, but she's like, no, I want to stay. Like, I don't want to leave you. He's like, you don't have to say what I want to. You think I want to hear, but she's like, no, like. This is where I belong. This is where I need to be. Like, she's staying for Mike's sake, but also maybe her own sake, because it's like, if once this is done, she can ensure her future. But it's like, Mike is even saying, like, you need to leave. Like, oh, why not take him on his like this? He even offered her, like, because the episode was the first time they talked since last episode, post like the girls in the river, and it's like, do you want a way out? And she's like, what was it she said? Oh, right, because Mike was like, you'll end up like, she's like, I won't end up like those girls. And Mike is like, yes, you will be those girls if you stay here. So maybe that's also another extra justification of like, she doesn't know for sure, but maybe she thinks Connie had something to do with that. But even he's trying to still pretend like, well, would it have been the Crips who done it? And Roman was like, yeah, but they don't traffic in women. He's like, yeah, but they know we do. So it's like a vexing thing of like, were they the ones that hit us? I don't know. It didn't look like Bunny's people last episode. And even Bunny was like, I didn't do it. But it's like, could he have been lying? Could he have been fronting in front of Mike? The whole like storm out way he like handled it last episode made me kind of feel like it probably wasn't him. Like I said, Connie was my first thought, and I don't think it was Callahan, but Callahan has made it clear, like, yo, Bunny's getting hit. The fact that the Russians will eventually get out of our way, this has got to be our time to reign and rule. So, but yeah, like, she's gotten multiple outs, and just everything, like I said, it just I'm so scared for Iris. She's the number one character I'm scared for this season. Like, ever since she went undercover, I was like, dude, she's put a death flag. She's put a death flag on herself. I'm like, dude, I just don't think this season's going to end without her dying, which would suck so much. But either way, Constantine gets visited by the Aryans later on, and I thought that was Callahan making a move, but we find out later on, Callahan did not set that off. They're the ones that came like, yo, we're here to re-up, because they were kind of trying to prove a point. I don't know if word had really gotten out that they were responsible for what happened to Callahan, but maybe because they found out like, oh, shit went sideways on inside, let's go ahead and re-up. But they came and weren't so polite, and Constantine responded with shooting one of them and left the other to be the messenger. And it all worked out beautifully, because like, even Mike, when he heard that from Iris, is like, oh my god, this is wonderful. And she's like, why? And he's like, oh, because now Callahan's going to retaliate. It also plays into the narrative that Mike created, that this was Constantine, and it's like, oh, like, Constantine being kind of the unhinged person that he is, once again, maybe even more unhinged than normal. I think it's, like I said earlier, definitely more unhinged than normal, kind of plays into the narrative he spun for Callahan. So now he's got Callahan so focused on Constantine's like, cool, my two biggest headaches might take each other out. Or one, like, at the very least, Callahan might take out Constantine, and then I only have to deal with Callahan. Or, like I said, lucky, if I'm lucky, both of them take each other out. If not, one will take out the other, and I can deal with the last one. Who knows? But yeah, Callahan's like, yeah, it's on site. Like, tell everyone, spread out word. It's war against the Russians. So that teamwork divided fairly easily. So that's really interesting. Staying in the world of all of this, we had Bunny with his with Raph's son and his partner, and he's sitting down talking to Trey, trying to tell him, is like, right, the difference between falsehood and truth about like why your dad's doing what he's doing, kind of being like, don't make it seem like it was on you. It's like your dad's holding it down, but like when he wakes up in the morning to him laying his head down at night, you are always on his mind, because what he does for family, and that's something you always got to remember. So it's like, you got to hold it down out here for your dad. You understand that? And so he's relocating Raph's partner and his son, you know. We'll see what becomes of that, because Bunny wants Raph's son to understand, but I'm still like, I don't know what that's going to turn into, where that storyline might end up going outside of just looking after them. I'm just feeling like what that might mean for Raph's son in the future. I don't know. But Staying in that vein, Robert is not happy the moment they get to the facility, and it's sad because Kyle is defending Mike by being like, "No, Mike wouldn't do that. Mike gave us the address," but then Robert's like, "Yeah, but he let him know we were coming," and it's like, Mike wouldn't do that. Why would he give you the address in the first place? But looking at Ian's like, "Mother, he's like, you did do it, didn't you?" It's like, yeah, I mean, maybe that's also another thing too, because now like Robert and Kyle aren't like, so like I said, everything's kind of clicking in place because like Robert and Kyle exchange words. To be fair, Robert's kind of out of his mind recently too. He's not at 100%, but he's saying all the stuff he normally wouldn't say. It's like, you don't know for sure that Bunny hit you. It's like, well, we know that, but like we're just kind of pretending like we don't know that for sure. Like, does the audience know that? Well, I'm pretty sure we know that was Bunny that hit Robert. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I think Mike knows, but he's pretending like he doesn't know. But yeah, Robert was flying off the handle, be like, "Yo, I almost became a widow." Like, Mike continues to protect that guy, and it's also like, yeah, but Mike's once again, it's like, I keep saying, I view that relationship as a one-way street in a lot of ways. Like I said, I think Mike taps Robert for stuff, but it's like, I have to use you, but I don't always agree with you. And I'm like, I don't know if they're actually legitimately friends. Like, this season made me question that the most. But I'm like, I know you and Kyle are friends, but I don't even know if you and Mike are friends. But yeah, Robert and Kyle were like duking it out, and like Kyle was like, "Yo, you're not 100%. Stand down." He's like, "Whoa, who the fuck are you to tell me to stand down?" It's like Robert's probably going to start icing Kyle out. Maybe he'll apologize. I have no idea how that's going to turn out. But it's like, yeah. I mean, Mike did what he was supposed to. It's like, yeah, Bunny's not going to sell the weapons, nor is he going. He's also going to be on the run because he knows you're after him. So it's like, Mike, it's somewhat back in Bunny's good graces, I think, by like letting him know like what's what. Not unless it's a thing of Mike already knew the place was empty. Well, because that's the thing. I think about that in retrospect. Mike already knows about the place, so Bunny could have packed up just for that sake. But like him saying the line of, but he won't sell the guns and he won't really make any moves with them right now because he knows you're after him. So it's like, right, so Mike had to have tipped him off. It wasn't just about Mike knowing the location, especially where him and Bunny were standing at the end of last episode. But to be fair, I think getting a phone to Raph kind of maybe simmered some of those issues. They haven't been in a scene together since last episode, so they hadn't even talked since last episode that we're aware of. So who knows like where things currently stand between them. So, but Mike kind of gave the illusion of like, yeah, I'm going after Bunny just to calm Callahan down, but also like, you know, he's gonna piss off Robert doing what he's doing. So I don't know if Robert would necessarily have blown up the way he did if he wasn't 100% himself. I mean, once again, he has reasons to kind of hate Bunny too. So I don't know. That's going to be an interesting thing to see going forward. Other than that, we had the situation with Tracy, which obviously she's on edge and she hasn't told Kyle because I brought it up last episode, some thoughts on why she wouldn't tell Kyle about anything, because it's like she doesn't want Kyle mixed up in this. I think like there's a part of her that wanted to kind of try and handle this by the book, handle it herself, but it's like, I can't really do that when William already knows like, yo, not only that I somehow knew that I talked to Sherry, wasn't sure what I talked to her about, also knowing I talked to the warden about something. Guy got put his hands on her last episode too, so she also comes into work and finds out that Cherry nodded. Like the moment they said nodded herself, I was like, what? And then I looked at her neck, I was like, oh, I didn't know that was the term for that. I was like, they didn't even just say like, oh, she tried to hung herself. They I guess specifically like I've never heard that specific phrase used for that. Like I've heard like, oh yeah, like, because I would assume like the effed up thing is like, I'm assuming she used bed sheets. I guess that's where it like stems. But it's like, obviously you make a knot with it, but I'm like, because it might specifically reference to like when you're in your cell, someone who make like, because not like I know this firsthand, but I'm just talking about TV shows where someone will like take the bed, like they won't hang themselves, but they'll strangle themselves, like they'll tie the bed sheet to the bars and then like strangle themselves. So, but there's no telling if she's going to come out of this okay or not. They're like, yeah, we'll have to wait and see whether or not she wakes up or not, whether or not she's in a vegetative state or not. And that's what really pushed Tracy. I figured as much, and I said that previously. Like, if Tracy's going to do anything, she'll go to Mike before she goes to before she goes to Kyle, and she does. And it's like, even Mike's like, well, yeah, no, was it a rape situation or was it a dating situation? She's like, I know what, he's like, I had to ask because sadly, both situations do happen. Some people do date the guards, but sometimes it is like a forced situation. And it's like, she's like, I know who did it. It's this William guy. And like, how do you know? She's like, I know. He's like, I need to go on. She's like, I know. And Mike's like, you have to tell me there's one thing, Tracy. You have to answer me honestly. Did he touch you? And she doesn't say anything. And he's like, that's it. She's like, he asked, like, did you tell Kyle? She's like, no. He's like, good. Do not. I'll handle this. I will handle this, Tracy. And it's like, did he put hands on her? Yes. Like, fuck him. Like, he threatened her. He put his hands on her. Like, yeah. I don't know. Like, Tracy left that open-ended enough to make it seem like he assaulted her, which, once again, he did, but not in a sexual way. Or at least not that we're aware of. Once again, I don't want to misconstrue, like, oh, well, him putting his hands on her is fine. Fuck no. And him threatening Tracy and everything. So it's like I said, Tracy left that open-ended enough to make it seem like Mike would jump to the conclusion of, oh, he assaulted you and sexually assaulted you, but it's like, he never did. He did put hands on her and threatened her and scared her. But once again, we also don't know. Maybe something did happen in between episodes and we just never saw it. Like, that's going to be something Tracy's probably going to have to deal with. Like, I think what motivated her even more, because she didn't go to Mike she didn't go to Mike until after she saw Cherry. So that's why I kind of get the feeling like, no, like I said, she left it open-ended enough for Mike to assume, like, I'm not going to cry over the dude getting his ass whooped by Mike later on, but I love Mike going to Ian. He's like, especially when Ian's like scratching off, like, oh yeah, trying to hit the big bucks. Did not win anything with the scratch offs, but it's like, oh, he's like, I need to hurt somebody. He's like, well, you need help with something? He's like, no, I need you to stop me from doing something. Ian's main purpose there was to stop Mike from killing the dude. And he's just like, beats on him. He's like, yo, like, why aren't you in your uniform? He's like, I don't wear it. It's like, oh, you don't wear your rapist uniform? And beat the ever-living shit out of him. And it's like, you're going to transfer, and I better not ever see or hear from you again. Because I thought it was interesting, because the thought that crossed my mind was like, I didn't think about it till this episode when we saw Tracy kind of like, very like, on edge and everything. And I was like, does that dude not know who Mike is? And it turns out he doesn't. The moment he saw Mike, he's like, who are you? I'm like, oh shit, you didn't know who you were fucking with. You didn't know who Tracy, like, people know, like, Mike as the mayor, but, like, not everyone knows. It's like, oh, you would think you would know. Like, I guess it's like, for one, I guess he doesn't know in general that Tracy's, like, I wonder how many people do know, like, I mean, it's not like Tracy goes around advertising that, but like, she's a McCluskey, like, so that's why I'm like, how would you not know? So he must be super out of the loop not to even know who she is. I was like, you did not know who you're talking to. That's fam. Especially for Mike after, like, he's already lost his brother, he's lost his mom. It's like, you going after his sister-in-law, it's like, yo, like, he's extra protective of family, like he always was. Even if this was pre-Miriam, he still would have done that for Tracy. I mean, because it's also like, yo, you're a piece of shit that lay hand on my family like that. So yeah, that's interesting. Like, that's why I feel like Mike was kind of smiling, because that was after he beat the shit out of that William dude, and on top of that, there's all this stuff kind of maybe going his way, but that's the problem. Just when you think things go your way, shit really has. I don't know what to expect in the next episode, where this is all going to go. Oh yeah, there's an extra thing I wanted to include. I should have included this earlier, but I just remembered. Roman was kind of telling Iris that she should take what Constantine was offering her, and he kind of, like, they finally have the conversation of, like, why does he keep talking about Milo all the time? And she's like, well, Roman's like, well, Milo, well, for one, did all that he did to Iris and put her in those situations, but also because Tatiana was kind of like the confidant to Milo, like, that was Milo's person, so it's like, he can't help but think, like, Milo went into that situation. There's no way Tatiana wouldn't let him know what was coming his way. But it's like, even Iris is like, yeah, but if Milo knew, he wouldn't have gone. Like, we know that Milo's still alive and out there. And it's like, that's why Roman's like, that's why Tatiana got popped. Because it's like, he kind of has a feeling, I guess he's trying not to let Iris know that he believes. because everyone else thinks Milo is dead. Tatiana is the only one who knew for sure that Milo wasn't, and I think Constantine's not quite sure, but at the very least, he's cutting off, like, for one, it's kind of get back from Milo for everything, I think, but also just being like, okay, bet. She's hiding the fact that Milo's alive. She keeps up this front that he's dead, so there's a little bit of that, and also cutting off Milo's... I mean, really, Milo hadn't really talked to her since the season 2 finale that we were aware of, because she was trying to get in contact with him, but just couldn't, so... I guess he had cut ties with her. Like, it's like, well, don't want any traces directly coming back to him. So there's a multitude of ways you can, like, interpret that situation. So I'm not quite sure if Iris got that from that conversation. She didn't really say anything. She kind of had this look like, oh, is that kind of implying like Milo might still be alive? But that's why Tatiana... I mean, they were kind of making it seem like, or at least their understanding from the beginning was like, oh, like he's popping anyone that has ties to Milo, those who might still be loyal to Milo. And the point she kept reiterating to him earlier in the episode is, I'm loyal to you, Constantine. I'm loyal to you, Connie. I'm loyal to you, so... That's just an extra bit of conversation and dialogue. I was like, all right, I completely forgot to talk about that. So I wanted to kind of tack that in this as well. So where this all goes, how this plays out, who's alive, who's dead by the end of the season, it's definitely going to be interesting to see what the next episode is all about and what it sets up for the season finale. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and good